Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world. And today I wanted to do a video. I've been thinking about this video for a little while. I wanted to go through my whole collection and look for the at least 20 albums that were the covers for me personally, and it's from my own personal collection that has a certain. There's some from when I was a kid, of course, when I was a young boy, and to more recent ones of all the most interesting covers. Of course, some of these are some of my all-time favorite covers, and some of these are like covers I really do love. And I do pretty much love all these covers in their own way, okay? But for one reason or another, and I'm looking at them right now, okay, is that for whatever reason, not particularly because they're my favorites, although they mostly are, they have a certain personal historical kind of, they strike me. I mean, not necessarily are they the best album covers, because there's other album covers that I could be showing that other people would think are iconic, and they say, well, why did you, I know you have this, why didn't you mention this? Like, for example, if I don't mention, and I'm wearing a shirt of it, if I don't mention any of the Nirvana album covers, okay, I could have if I was doing maybe a top 30 or top 40, okay. But these ones here, all these album covers, and I can only pick one per group. I might do this again later on, where I can pick more than one album from the group, and I'll pick 50 of my all-time favorite. But for now, I just want to do 20, and just a couple of contenders. Okay, just two like like honorable mentions of covers that are, when I first seen them, I'm like, I find them so interesting, and which, of course, the title of this episode, that I have to include them. To call this 20, 21, and 22, okay? A couple of bonus ones. It's just Amyl and the Sniffers comfort to me. Yeah, yeah. You open that up and it's like, yeah, it's interesting. And it's pretty much the band. That's her, okay? That's like a portrait of Amy, but it's Amyl and the Sniffers, and I find that such an interesting cover. Like it speaks volumes, and it's so psychedelic and weird, and almost like a child's version of Salvador Dali. I love it. And then there's this, okay, greatest hits of the Primus singles, okay. Just the cover. I mean, I liked Primus already. I was aware of a couple of these songs, but just for the cover alone, okay, seeing it in the store and completely understanding what they're ripping off, and you open it up. I love with the see through here, as like a real package of sliced cheese. There's a certain brand name I'm thinking of right now that I can definitely see it in there. And yeah, it's a pretty, just for the cover alone, just how just how cheesy it is. It's so cheesy, which fits Primus to a T, and it's so appropriate. So that's another honorable mention. Okay, all right. Now I am going to get into my top 20 now. And they're in no particular order. They are not ranked from worst to best or anything. Okay, they're just kind of in a certain order that whatever. Actually, they're kind of in a random order of what I picked them out. Except I took out, I put my, excuse me, I put my three favorite bands. Three or four of my favorite artists. Okay, in the front. Now, I didn't name. There's nothing in there from Rush. There's nothing in there from any of the peripheral stuff. You'll see when I get through the list. I'm just going to get through the list. I don't want to make this too much longer. Okay, at number 20. Okay, again, they're in no particular order, but I wanted to name this first. Is this cover here of Sparks Propaganda? That every time I look at that cover, and okay, these are not part of it, but these are contenders. Hanks in my pants and the kimono in my house. These are up there too. These are amongst my two. These are my three favorite Sparks album covers, hands down. I do love them. I mean, this was the first one I've seen, and this is the first one I bought, so that's always going to be iconic in that. But I'm drawing out this propaganda because that whole story of what it tells. Whoa, 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 whoa. I gotta be careful with that. That's not in there very solid. I need to change that. I actually gotta change this case. I want a better case on this. Absolutely. I'll see about buying some newer cases. But yeah, it's just such an awesome cover. So that's primary. It's basically considered that the best, but it's not necessarily. One of my favorite album covers of all time because it is from my favorite album of all time, and it's weird. Excuse me. Weird that I didn't go with this one first. But I'm talking about Lateralis. You know, there was already Anima, which had that awesome 3D cover. That you can turn and change in that. But this, when I first seen this, even with the 10,000 Days and Fear and Inoculum being awesome, but when I first saw this, and you could, and that opens up into that blew my mind. That blew my mind. I thought that was so ingenious, and I immediately loved it. I thought that was the greatest thing ever, 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 ever done, ever done. It's so awesome. So this is at number 19, but again, they're not in any particular order. This probably easily could be number one too. You know, I love the idea of this. I love even the back of how that is all organized and put together like circuitry, like it was some electrical, that you can pass in, that is a circuit board, like a circuit board. But it's so like yeah, that's maybe an episode for another day where I talk about that exclusively. All right, at number 18. Yep, we're at 18. And that's this cover here for King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. It's called Butterfly 3000. And what I love about this cover, and I could have picked a couple of other covers there from them that is equally as important, okay? But yeah, with with this cover, what it is a stereogram. You're supposed to like kind of look. You can. I'm pretty sure you have to look past the picture in a certain way. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to converge your eyes where this butterfly converges with that butterfly and it pops out a three-dimensional picture. You're basically seeing one. You should be looking at one half of that. Like you'll see, like instead of the two different patterns, there'll be three different patterns, but the pattern in the middle should pop out at you 3D. And I think that was so ingenious when because at first I wasn't sure what they were going for. I thought it was going to be at first I thought this was one of their worst album covers. I was like, it looks so gauche and I don't know, pretentious and but when I realized what it was, that they hit a stereogram in there. Yeah, I love it, love it, love it. All right. Number 17, number 17, number 17. This from Bell and Sebastian. Now, the reason why, again, it's not a particularly great cover, but what's interesting is for almost like a good 8 years, all that I knew of the band, okay, was this album and this, just the CD, just having the CD. It's only when I really started, like, I need to get more. I need to hear more of this band. I know there's a lot more. And once I started looking into it, once I started getting access to the internet, yeah, and then I got to see that cover for the first time. First thing that struck me was the green. It's all green, okay, and and this was actually the very first cover of Belle and Sebastian that I ever saw, and I have pretty much their whole collection. So I'm familiar with their themes. They do have a different color scheme, but it's this is actually Chris Gatiss. He's the keyboardist. He's one of he composes a lot of the songs, and then he's the keyboardist, and he's dressed in kind of this old time, like you could say, Renaissance type, and he was playing swords with somebody. Yeah, there's pictures inside. Yeah, I think that's Isabel. One of the yeah, and where is it? It's right there. That's them. That's them dueling, having it out with kilts on. So, and I guess and that's him getting stabbed. And yeah, I don't know. It was just I was so striking the first time I saw the cover. I was like, I wasn't expecting that as a cover. And yeah, it's just my memory of it is so striking. That's why it's in my list at number 16, 16 is this cover here from Steve High. I remember when I first saw that, it's like, oh, and if you can kind of see it, I'm trying to move it in the way where you can see where it's that beam and the face contour of the face too is in 3D, but it's the rays coming out. I'll try to keep that parallel. And yeah, yeah. So I really like that. I think that is very interesting for me. And yeah. All right. Next one. One of my older favorite bands, okay, and this album in particular, because okay, before I show you what the band is, they were one of my favorite bands. They were my second favorite band. Hint, hint. And I always felt that one of their weaknesses is that they had the worst album covers. It's like their album covers are weird. They're not badass or interesting or cool. Not like another one that's coming up here. I'm going to push that one to the forefront because yeah, pushing that one to the forefront. I'll show you that one next. And but this album cover. And I remember being in Montreal in 2008 and walking around town and seeing the poster for that and hearing the name of the album, Death Magnetic, and and finding that interesting. It's like, they're actually doing something cool. Finally, I think for me, either this or even Saint Anger, which is my least favorite Metallica album. Not saying that I don't actually really like it, though. I do still kind of really like it, okay? But it is for me personally the worst Metallica album. I don't really, yeah. But that's another episode either. All right, so let's get back to this. Just the idea when I first bought the album, and I bought it pretty much right away when it came out was how they actually did some ingenuity and had it being cut out where that's the last page and that's the actual last page you know hidden in the back, but that the second to last page is where you see just the outline of the coffin. There's no other cut. All the cuts are you know there we go. There's my eye. Okay. All right, enough with that one. Let's move on. I wish I could go a little slower. I mean, a little faster and make these shorter. But, I like to take the time sometimes to go through each one. And even if it makes a little bit of a longer video, I don't mind as long as it's a great topic. Okay, why I put this one, I had to advance this one is because this is probably, again, in many, like, it's so toss up sometimes. This is probably my favorite in many. I don't know why. I do kind of know why. I just love the artistry of it. And I'm talking about Iron Maiden Live After Death. That album cover just blows me away. I don't know. I remember the very first time seeing it and how it actually does. You, if I pull that out and sometimes the insides too is just as important. But that it pulls out and you get to that vista in back there and so much hidden details and little Easter eggs and all that greatness. I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's so good. All right, so moving on. But even like the inside covers and stuff is fantastic. I'm gonna pop that out because it's a 2 disc set too. What's behind that? How did that pop out? Let me get to that second disc. Oh, it opens up this way. Oh, see, I wanted to show you that too. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. You know, you got to take a look at that every once in a while because that's fantastic artwork. Yeah. Derek Briggs, you're one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah. Now, another interesting cover, and I'll go a little faster through these ones. Yeah, I'm just going to go a little faster through these ones. Just a brief explanation. This Pussifer cover, I love that it's a kind of a pencil drawing, but it's all like the way everything is lined up and geometric and combined with that back cover, all the way they utilize the symbols and that's supposed to be Billy Burger, which is actually Maynard James Keenan, but as Billy Burger, which is the kind of the persona that he is for Pussifer, and it's yeah, I don't know, I really love that album cover. I mean, Conditions of My Parole would have been a nice contender. V is for Vagina is another contender. C is for insert blah blah blah. Those even those covers are like they make me laugh. They're funny. I do love their covers, but this one here is for me. I can open that up and show you. It's striking. Even that inside cover here. Check that out. I love that. I love the whole like again that geometry, that sacred geometry behind those covers and what it all represents and means. It's deep. It's deep. What's behind that cover? Nothing. Okay, moving on. Uh, the one time, okay, and I can give you an example of their typical covers. Okay, KMFDM, and I'm talking about Nile here, being because before that they were known like as Brute. Brute does 99% of the covers are Brute. Like like all the rest of them are all in that style with that type of artwork, that type of drawing, but they could not just from just this one album, and they couldn't get Brute to do the covers. So they ended up having somebody else use a paint, take this person's painting of a. I think her name looks like it would be Elizabeth. If I that face looks like her name would be Elizabeth. I swear. And with that B over her head, I don't know. I find that's an interesting cover, and I always really loved it. And because it's an oddball in their cover set. All right. I'm going to fast forward and get this one out first because I do want to get this out of the way. My first favorite band, okay, was Kiss. And it all started with this album cover. When my uncle Frankie, and say what you will about the music inside, which is still one of the best Kiss albums ever, okay? It has to be in my top 3. And it's pretty much a toss up for me between this album, uh, Kiss Alive, or Destroyer, because Destroyer was for me was a big memory, of it blowing my mind too. and that album cover, that album cover. And of course, this is the album cover that made people a fan of Kiss right there. Because of this album cover, you know, they they saw Kiss in a different way. It's like, and when and it really matches the content you hear inside. You know, like it really represents the music that it has. So, but this has to be like, this is what I'm choosing. And what is this number? This is number 11. Yeah, I still got 10 more to go. But you know what? This is part one. I'm going to continue part two tomorrow. Actually, yep. These. So I basically showed you 10 so far. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to make this a two-parter so that I'll have a video for you tomorrow so you can see the other 10 that I have chosen. To be continued. Yeah, to be continued. It's 20 minutes long. I'm not going to drag it out for much longer. So yeah. So I'm going to let you go here. And those are, yeah, so those are some of my most interesting album covers, and and I have to go through the rest of these too, because I did look through all my album covers, and those were the ones that popped up and kind of, yeah, kind of in, yeah, for whatever, like I said, for whatever reason, not necessarily because they're my favorites, but because I have a personal history with them at some point, and yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I'll probably do many different type of cover videos about album covers. There's a subject that, being an artist, that I like to talk about. There's some really interesting artwork that I would love to point out here and there about my album covers that I own. All right, I'm done now, so I'm going to let you go. Everybody, just please be safe. Take care. Don't forget to leave a comment. And I'll see you on the flip side. Don't forget to like the video, and have a great day, evening, morning, night, afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.